Hello and welcome to Community Voices. My name is Isabella Vanderheyden, and today we will be talking with Kelly Sanders, County Clerk Recorder of Humboldt County. So, Kelly, can you just begin by explaining what you do and your role at the Humboldt County Office of Elections?
Sure. I'm the County Clerk, Recorder, and Registrar of Voters. So I literally have two offices, one on the courthouse on the 5th floor, and then one out here at the Humboldt Plaza, the Elections Department. And the Elections Department, we handle all of the state and local elections. We do all of the candidate filing processing for the county and state candidates. The cities actually do their own candidate processing, but we do all the preparation of the ballots, mailing the ballots out, preparing the voter information guides, registering voters, and we conduct all the elections, all parts of the election. So it's pretty much.
All right, excellent. So I'm sure you've been very busy recently.
We've been incredibly busy.
Yeah. Well, I didn't actually write this question down, but how did the testing on October 2nd go? Can you maybe talk about that process of the logic testing and what that is used for?
Right. It was our logic and accuracy testing, and that test, we do that prior to every election. What that test is designed for is to ensure that the ballots are scanning properly, that the boxes that are checked on the ballots are being read, and then we also tabulate the ballots to make sure the system is tabulating the ballots correctly. So we predetermined, we marked ballots in a certain sequence so that we could predetermine what the outcome should be for each contest in each ballot type. And then we convened a board that would observe this test. Generally, there's more people that attend, but due to the pandemic, we weren't able to have very many people in attendance. So we really appreciate Access Humboldt live streaming that process for us so that more voters and the public could be involved. So then we had the board choose several precincts to run through a precinct scanner, so we can scan some ballots on a precinct scanner that will be at the voting locations. And then the remainder of the ballots we scanned through what we call our central count system. And that's the system that all the vote by mail ballots are scanned in-house here at the Elections Department. Then we tabulated the results of both, and then we compared those results to the predetermined spreadsheet that we had completed to ensure that everything was tabulating correctly.
All right, great.
Yeah.
And so, as for the upcoming election, many politicians have already cast doubt on the entirety of the election, and especially when it comes to the integrity of mail-in voting. So I'm wondering if you can kind of explain the security and safety processes with mail-in voting and why voters maybe shouldn't be worried.
You know, it's kind of interesting because in Humboldt County alone, 69% of our voters are registered to vote by mail. They are permanent vote by mail voters. So it's a small percentage of our county that doesn't already vote by mail. And the trend is actually a little bit higher statewide, a little over 70% for the rest of, if you combine the entire state. So most of the state is already voting by mail. I think voting by mail is secure. Mail ballots go through more scrutiny than they would if you're voting at the polling location. The voter is required to sign their name on the exterior of the envelope, the return envelope, and we verify all of those signatures prior to processing those ballots. Again, I think it's one of the most secure ways to vote. Any vote by mail ballots that are turned in prior to Election Day, we're able to process those, and those are the first results we post on election night. So there's many different ways for voters to turn their vote by mail ballot in as well. You can turn it in through the mail, and postage is prepaid in California. You can also, this year, we have ballot drop box locations, and we have two here at the elections office, one interior and one exterior. And then we have 9 other ballot drop boxes placed throughout the county. Those are indoor facilities that are locked at night, and the boxes are chained to either racks or cinder blocks in those locations. And we have regular pickups of those ballots, so they're delivered back to our office on a regular basis. We just mailed the ballots out on Monday, and we already have about 1,000 ballots returned to us, mostly through the drop boxes. But people can also turn their ballots in person if they feel uncomfortable putting them in a drop box or into the mail. They can come to our office. We're open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5. And they can also, if they choose to, they can also drop their vote by mail ballot off at the in-person voting locations that we will have for this election. And that looks a little bit different as well. In past elections, we have had probably 47 different locations throughout the county open on election day. And because of COVID and everyone getting a vote by mail ballot this time around, we'll only have 9 vote centers, or voters assistance centers is what we're calling them. But those centers will be open for a total of 4 days. So beginning October 31st through November the 2nd, those centers will be open from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. And then on election day, they'll be open the normal election hours of 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Excellent. Thank you for running through all of that. And I trust, can you give me the website? I forget what it is off the top of my head, but where can people find more information from either the state or county government on where they might need to go, where the drop-off boxes would be?
So on our local county elections website, that information would be on our site. And our website is humboldtgov.org/elections. And then once you get in there, I think there's a button right at the very top that says look up for the voter assistance centers and the drop boxes. And there's also I think a link right to the right of that where you can click on that and type in certain information, and it will tell you which voter assistance center you're assigned to. So we will have the 9 voter assistance centers. Those are, and voters throughout the county are assigned to those centers for early voting. We are also going to have 4 pop-up locations on election day, and those are in the more rural parts of our county. So say, for instance, Hoopaw Willow Creek, for early voting, their voting assistance center has been assigned in McKinleyville, but they will have a polling place open in their area on election day. Both Hoopaw and Willow Creek will also have one open in southern Humboldt in Garberville. And then we're opening another one in the Ferndale at the fairgrounds. So right. those 4 locations are just open for 1 day.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay, Kelly. So what will election night look like at the Office of Elections? I'm sure it will be very different because of the pandemic.
Right. You just want to know about election night itself, or a little bit about the day?
Yeah. I guess whatever you see as being significant. So maybe I guess when things start coming in and you start tallying votes, what that process will look like?
So because the centers are open for 4 days, we'll have returns coming to us each of those days starting October the 31st. So we'll be able to collect any vote by mail ballots that were dropped off at those centers or any ballots that were cast at the centers themselves. Those will all come back to the elections office so we can continue to scan in the ballots. And then on election day, of course, it'll be like any other normal election day. Everything will get shut down at 8 p.m. and then all of the equipment and all of the voted ballots will come back to the elections office for going through the intake process, and then we'll be doing the tabulation of the results right at 8 p.m. as soon as the polls close. So our first report we expect to have up by about 8:30 that evening. Because of COVID and social distancing, we're really trying to encourage people to vote their vote by mail ballot and get that in early. If they do need to vote in person, they can vote earlier than normal. They can come in on October 31st November 1st or November 2nd, and I highly encourage people to do that just because we want to practice social distancing and we want to get everyone processed safely.
Absolutely. And so the day after the election, the Office of Elections will hand count 1% of the ballots to ensure the machine results are accurate. And I understand Access Humboldt is broadcasting that live. So can you just kind of tell me what that process will look like and how long it might take?
Sure. It actually starts the Thursday after the election.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
convene what's called a manual count board, and they will randomly choose 1% of the precincts to go through an actual hand count. And once they've chosen the first precinct, then they will also continue to choose ballots or districts where there are contests that were not on that first round of ballots. So say the very first precinct that they choose, they will hand tally every single contest on that ballot. Mm-hmm. And then they'll go to different ballot types where, say, maybe a school district or a city council race or a measure wasn't on that first ballot. They'll continue to go through until they count contests in every single ballot type. The process takes, generally, the first part of it takes about a week. They will go ahead and count those ballots for everything that we have scanned up to that date. Then they might stop for a few days while we continue to scan ballots in that were turned in at the polls. And so that process will start and stop throughout the canvass. The canvass lasts for 30 days, so generally they finish up just the last few days of the canvass. If the ballots, we get them all continued or completed and tabulated, and then they can finish up those last few days. So the board comes in generally at 9 in the morning, and they're there from 9 to 4 every day until they finish, with, like I said, a few breaks in between to allow us to continue to process.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
It's just another, it's just one more check and balance to ensure that things are working properly. Then also something that's unique to Humboldt County is we also have a group called the Election Transparency Project. Mm-hmm. And they're a nonprofit group of individuals who are very interested in seeing the democratic process run safely and accurately. So we allow them to come in after the election as well, and they do a complete scan of all of the ballots from the election on a separate system. So it's a completely separate audit from the scanned ballots that we do and our 1% manual count afterwards. And I really think that having that extra layer of checking and security gives a lot of confidence to the voters in Humboldt County.
I would certainly agree. So the deadline to register to vote is coming up on October 19th. Are there any other important upcoming deadlines or pertinent information you'd like to share with our audience, Kelly?
Sure. People need to register by October 19th if they're going to receive a ballot in the mail. The last day that we can send a ballot out through the mail is October the 27th. After that, people can come into our office to pick up a ballot. But even if you miss that deadline of October 19th, you can still register to vote after that date. We just can't mail you a ballot. You're going to register, and you're going to be what's called a conditional voter. And it's like voting a provisional ballot, basically. We have to check to make sure you haven't already voted in this election, say in another county. So it takes a little bit longer to process. And so I do encourage people to try to get registered by the 19th. It's quite easy to do. You can do it online. It comes over to us electronically. Your signature is captured through DMV, and we can process those voter registrations very, very quickly. And we're processing quite a few of those right now and getting ballots. We're continuing to mail ballots out. We did our first initial mailing on the 5th of this week, but we've already done 2 subsequent mailings, and I'm generating another mailing today as well. So we're continuously mailing out ballots to people as they register.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for your hard work and ensuring the integrity of our local voting system.
Thank you so much.
Of course. So that's all the time we have today. I want to thank my guest, Kelly Sanders, for being here, and thank you for joining us. We will see you next time on Community Voices.
This is my